Today we're going to replace the sky in Photoshop. So hi guys, welcome back to a new Photoshop tutorial. My name is Manny and yes, you can find me on our Facebook page at Retutpro. We're updating that page quite a lot. In today's tutorial, we're going to retouch or replace the sky in Photoshop. So basically meaning we're going to take the shot from our latest Pro tutorial and we're going to replace the sky with a complete different sky, because on that day we had no clouds. So we're going to do that today, replacing the sky in Photoshop. Then as well, this tutorial is also not an advanced Photoshop tutorial. Some of you guys might know already about all the techniques, but it's a beginner to intermediate, and if you are new to that, you might learn something from my workflow. So yeah, let's get right into it. Enough of the talking, let's start with it. Okay, so as you guys can see, I've already imported again the layer already into Photoshop. Here under basic we already have our starting plate, and this is basically ready just as I shot it on the day. And I just took this image into Camera Raw, did a few pre-adjustments, a little bit on exposure, a little bit up the shadows and a bit on contrast, a bit on the orange color, and that's basically it. Straight from there as not a smart object into Photoshop, and here we are, just a normal basic plate. Okay, great. So before I continue with this whole photoshopping part, I want to show you guys quickly the after. So this is again the after and before and after. So we're going to do quite a lot of things. Not too much, but it's going to take us a few minutes. Okay, also I want to show you guys both of the shots are on the same day. This was basically very early morning, sunrise time, and during that time we hoped for some clouds, but there weren't any clouds that day, so we had to go without the clouds. But then later in Photoshop I decided to take either another shot or a shot that I had, like this shot, and merge that in and obviously get this kind of result. So this was during the day in the morning, and this was right in the same day still, but just late in the afternoon. And as you guys can see, it also it's pretty much the same shot, same frame, everything. I've just cropped this a little bit. Okay, great. Let's also get started with it right away. I'm going to drag this layer down a little bit. It's just also imported straight from Camera Raw into Photoshop. Just a few tweakments in Camera Raw, not too much that I did actually on this image. Just contrast a little bit of orange. Yeah, that's what basically it. Okay, let's also just take this background layer, move that over here. I'm going to hold shift so that this clips actually right to the borders. And then we can also take this one and just close the window and just say don't save. We don't need that at the moment. I'm going to press F for the full screen mode so we have everything nice and out of our way. Okay, now what I want to do is also just hide this finished layer. We can take it all the way to the bottom so it's out of our way. And over here, I'm going to rename layer 1 to sky. Okay, so that's basically going to be our sky for this image. As you guys can see, it's also still set into normal. I want to somehow see where I can place this into the sky, and if I need to transform, stretch it a little bit, maybe perspective. But it should be kind of on the same perspective, and it should work. So it's always good when you go out and shoot something like this, that check that your perspective is in the same way and that it actually looks real. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just set it here to darken or overlay. Let's maybe overlay for the start, and we literally can't see anything. Darken would be a better blending option for that, so I'm going to switch it to darken. And in here I can already see how I will place this. So somewhere around here, I guess that would be pretty great. I'm also going to take the opacity all the way down, so 50%. So the clouds look really nice, and I'm going to place it somewhere over here. It's also nice that we actually have a little bit of a gap, a little hole here, so it's really nice with the sun if the sun is shining through here. So that suits actually the image. Okay, let's keep it at darken for the start, and we're also going to push it up all the way to 100%, but obviously we need to comp out the bottom here and just paint it in the top. So what I'm going to do is already create a hidden mask on this and just hold Alt, select the hidden mask completely, and it's out of our way. So for the next step we can already paint it out here. But before I do that, I want to actually copy out this guy's head a little bit and put that on top so we have a separate layer just for his head. So I'm going to select the basic layer, zoom a little bit closer here, and we're going to just take the pen tool and create a really nice path around his face, and then we're going to cut out his face and add that on top. Okay, so let's press P for the pen tool, also Z again. I'm going to zoom in really closely again, and I can start somewhere here around the lips, because I think I'm just going to start also with this guy somewhere around here. This won't be too much affected because obviously we just have this guy on the top, so I'm not too worried about these hairs here. I'm going to go a little bit closer as well. Also just pressed an anchor point here, next anchor point, and I'm literally just going with the path tool now through this whole process. If you guys are also not familiar with the pen tool, I've actually created another tutorial which is also here on my YouTube channel, where I'm explaining how to work with this pen tool a little bit more in depth and also how it works a little bit better. Okay, so I'm also going to fast forward this video a little bit now, so you guys don't need to sit here and see me for like 5-6 minutes working with the pen tool. If there's something like, for instance, this now, I will stop and just show you guys what I basically do. I'll just go straight over this and take out the hairs. So we're basically just copying them out. We're not even including them. Okay, last anchor point again, and I'll just continue now doing this and fast forward the video a little bit. Okay, and we're slowly coming here to an end of his cap again. And literally what I'm going to do now is just hold spacebar, move all the way around, just do a few dots over here, basically a few anchor points, and then continuing right here again at the start. And as you guys can see, I'm going to zoom in a little bit as well. You guys can see here's a weird yellow line, this aberration. I want to get rid of that and not copy that. So P for the pen tool again, last anchor point, and literally I'm just going very closely on the cap, not adding this weird yellow aberration line there. You don't really need that. Okay, we're almost done, literally just a few steps. We can actually stop the fast forwarding. It will just be a few steps. Also, this whole retouching here is also part of our complete pro tutorial. So we actually did a Instagrammer pro tutorial as mentioned earlier. So if you want to have a look at that, this is just a small segment of this whole tutorial. Okay, also all the way down here. Yeah, clipping just really roughly through this as well. I'm doing this now for the tutorial. Spend a bit more time when you do this, not as quick as I'm doing. And as well, if you're not familiar with the pen tool, have a look. We've created a cool tutorial there for you guys. Okay, all the way here with this hair. We can still create a nice mask after this. Yeah, and obviously clean this up a little bit. Okay, a little bit further, and just a little bit from the jacket here still. And the mountain, that's all okay. I'm going to leave that out actually. Great, okay, so that's pretty much all I'm going to do. I'm going to zoom out with Z again, and literally just pen tool again, last anchor point, and I'm going to do just roughly some points here. I'm going to actually add a little bit here from this little section. So again, last anchor point. Something like that. Okay, great. So now we already have our path here, completed everything. We can now create a selection out of that path. So I'm going to press right click while I'm still in the pen tool, go all the way to make a selection here, and we're going to hit right click there again, say OK, and feathering 0 featherness please. So like that, and we're going to hit OK. Now we have a complete new selection around his head, and what I'm going to do for the next step is press Command Z and Command V. Alright, not double, just once. For the guys who work with Windows, you can also press Control when I press Command. Okay, I'm going to take this layer now, just maybe his head over here. I'm going to put that all the way to the top, and already we have head and sky. Now as well, for the sky, we're going to have a separate group and layering system. So I'm going to press Command G and select first of all the layer. Press Command G and just write here sky as well. And with head, actually, they're pretty much the same. Also going to press Command G and just write here head, and we have everything separately in some groups. Okay, so for the next step, what we're going to do now is just merge out there, first of all, the sky in. So let's zoom out a little bit as well. Okay, something like that. We can turn off head for the moment, or we can actually leave it and put sky back on. So we put that here on the mask. We're going to set B for the brush, white foreground color. Literally 100% opacity, and as well I'm working with a Vacuum Continuous 5 Pro tablet. I'm able via my tablet to change my wheel really quickly. For those of you who don't have this, please go press Ctrl Alt together. You can move left and right and literally make your brush bigger like that, or up and down and change your hardness. So I normally also change my hardness with going up and down. And I'm going to actually start now with just say 40% hardness. And my brush, I will do that with my wheel. Also, you can use the brackets here, open and closing bracket, just to make them bigger and smaller. Okay, let's paint now with the white foreground color, 100% opacity, just over here, and we're slowly going to brush in the complete sky. And I'm just going to do this very roughly as well. And a little bit more here. Okay, a little bit around him. Okay, and darken this all a bit, and over here as well. Okay, and at the back it goes in really nicely already. Great, now we want to merge it out a little bit here from the front. So first of all, what I'm going to do is just brush again, move over a little bit, switch my foreground colors with X to black foreground color, so we're hiding again. And I'm going to take opacity just of 50%. Okay, also check my hardness now, so press Ctrl Alt, feather my brush completely, make my brush even bigger, and I'm slowly just going to brush the blue a little bit away. As you guys can see, I've got a huge brush, huge soft brush as well, and I'm slowly, because obviously when you shoot into the sky and when you edit this, there will always be a little bit of a white light at the horizon. Normally when you look at sunrises or at the horizon, it's always very bright at the horizon. So I'm going to add also a little white line, and also erase now quite, or brush out quite a lot from the sunset, as you guys can see, like so. So it looks also a little bit more real. But this is obviously, you have to take your time a little bit with this. I'm doing this really quickly now. So sometimes if I mess up, I paint back in, then I go back in again and try it over. Okay, a little bit more. Maybe I'm going to change my brush a little bit down. Okay, because I want to have a clean spot here. It's already a little bit too much here. Okay, something like so. Obviously there would be a lot of sunlight coming here, so maybe a little bit more over here in the center. And we're going to switch again foreground colors and also take it down to 20% because we're now painting back the sky again. I want to do this a bit softer. Okay, going up here, so I don't want to paint over here again. A little bit more, and here. Great. And a little bit here. Let's go over a little bit. So it's very simple already to just add the background, because I just need to paint it in certain areas. But as you guys can see, the guy still looks pretty much, it does give it a fake effect, because we need to adjust the color, not color richly, but more brightness on him. But before we do that, let's concentrate just a bit more on the background here. Yeah, and just a little bit on the sky. Okay, but I'm pretty happy so far with that. Let's zoom out a little bit, look at it a little bit further away. Great. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer as well. And for the next step now, I'm going to just refine his head a little bit. So we're going to take the head group here, also create a mask first of all. Just press on the mask icon down below. We're going to zoom in with Z again a little bit closer. And we're going to refine just this edge a little bit here from his head. So I'm going to press B for the brush, make my brush also a little smaller over here. So I'm again just turning my wheel on the Vacum Intuos 5 Pro tablet. Also press Ctrl Alt again. Now I just want to check the hardness, so it should maybe set it to 80%. Okay, something like that. And also black foreground color. And I'm literally just painting away now here on. Also my opacity is still set to 19. Set that up again to 100%. And now slowly I'm brushing away just the overall spill here from that other light. Okay, so we're also shining again through the bottom, but that is obviously a little bit darker. So again, B for the brush, and I'm literally just trying to get away from these little big highlights here. Okay, not too much. Now we're ready copying over the original at the bottom. So again, showing the bottom through. Okay, a little bit over, and let's also clone this out a little bit. What I'm doing now is getting rid of this edge here, this little wide edge. So I don't want to have it too strong shining through. That will just make your image look a little bit more real. Okay, a little bit more. Also go up here to the top, and obviously we missed his whole eyebrows here and also the hairs from the eyes. So we're not going to worry too much about that. We're literally just going to copy straight onto this area here. Again, B for the brush. I need to show this area. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is go onto the onto the layer here and take also my clone stamp tool. So S clone stamp tool, and very important now, this must be switched to current layer, not all layers. So set that to current layer, and as well I'm going to hold Alt and just brush over here. Also check your hardness maybe for the clone stamp tool. Yeah, it can be set to say 40%. That should actually work. Okay, I'm going to make it a bit smaller, a little bit bigger. hold Alt, sample again, and we're literally just sampling over these areas here. Sample again. Okay, and I'm painting a little bit more, so I'm hiding completely everything from his eyes there. Okay, a little bit more. Hold Alt. One last time. Okay, I'm going to make my brush a bit smaller, just refining that a bit. Okay, I could actually sit and do this a bit longer as well, but I'm pretty happy now so far with this. Okay, something like that. Great. Now we're going to go back to the mask again here on the right side, as well B for the brush, and let's check our foreground color should be to black. And now what I'm going to do is also refine just this a little bit over here, because this is going to make your image look more realer. And if you spend more time with the pen tool, cutting this out nicely, then you don't need to sit and do this afterwards. But I always do it and just do it like a final control and go over the image and refine this, because this just makes it look more real. Okay, a little bit more. Again, I'm still on the 40 or 30% opacity with my brush there with the featherness. Again, here for the front, we obviously had a bit of sun flare, so that's alright. Sun is already coming up, but I don't want to have it too much. Okay, especially here at the top, as you guys can see this. I want to get rid of this little white line here. Once that is out, it's going to make the cap look way more real with that dark background. Obviously when it's light it works, but now otherwise it's not working. So again, B for the brush, Z, zoom in closely, yeah, and then just slowly brushing over this. That's why I'm also working with the Vacuma Genius 5 Pro tablet. It's so easy with the pen just doing this. Going to take me way longer if I have a mouse. Okay, a little bit more. Yeah, and a little bit over here. And I'm going to make my brush super small. Just go into the corners. Nope, not too much. Command Z, go step back, and literally in here. You can also take, or actually go here to your history panel and just go step back there as well. Okay, I'm happy with all of this. The glasses obviously look alright. I'm going to add later a curves adjustment layer for some contrast, so we're going to darken that. So I'm not too worried at the moment about the sunglasses. I'm literally worried about these corners here. So it's basically just that reflection, obviously, that you want to paint away a little bit, because I have such a dark background. Obviously, it suits the image a little bit because there is a sunrise coming. But for me, I actually found that it looks nicer now when I take it out. Okay, a little bit over here as well. I'm going to go up to the top and just clean up that edge. Okay, let's go over here. That's also all fine. Well, not too much. Okay, and this little gap. So again, I spend a little bit more time on smaller details. That just makes the image more real at the end. Again, here at the back we have a big one. I want to get rid of this. And here I'm a little bit more rougher as well. Carving out a little bit the cap as well, which I actually earlier didn't cut out properly with the pen tool. So I can literally just carve it out here. And also be a bit rougher with this. Then as well over here, definitely want to take out this. Okay, and as well over here, just from the hair. Okay, and we're lucky he doesn't have too much noisy hair, whatever you call it, too much hair that's fiddling around, so we can easily comp this out. Okay, jacket a little bit. And that's it. Okay, let's zoom out again. Let's have a look here at the top. That's all good. That aberration, got rid of that. Great. Okay, so that's basically the first step already, just for cleaning up the guy as well. We can check here before and after as well. Great. Okay, so the next step that I want to do is also work a little bit with adjustments just on the person and over the overall image from just the sky. So first of all, we're going to just do an adjustment here for the sky. I'm going to select the sky layer, go to my adjustments here and select a curves adjustment layer. Okay, I'm also going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see what's going on. And I literally just want to darken this, but I also want to just clip this adjustment layer to the sky. So I'm going to hold Alt, go between the layers here, that little arrow appears, and we can just clip that to the sky here. Okay, great. So let's also take our dark sliders here, our sides where it's a little bit darker, and we're going to push this up all the way. It's actually going to brighten that area. So we're going to, first of all, take the dark areas down here and we're going to darken the sky a little bit further. So this is obviously also a little bit of a playing thing, how dark you want it. I wouldn't darken it completely because otherwise this is going to look too fake again. So maybe just a little bit, something like this. For the start, we can always go back and tweak this obviously again. Okay, so this is just affecting the sky now. I'm going to zoom out a little bit as well, and it actually suits the image already a little bit better. It's a little bit darker, a little bit moodier. Great. Now what I'm going to do is go back to the head as well and also tweak the head. Back to adjustments here, another curves adjustment layer over here. We're going to select that and also now darken this as well a little bit. But this time we're not taking care too much about the whole image. We literally, or let me explain it like this. I'm going to tweak this adjustment layer now and it will affect everything here on the person's head. Obviously, I can also hold Alt, so this adjustment layer clips again to the head layer. And will obviously darken the complete head, but I'm looking more now just at the edge and the front part of the glasses here and the back side, because obviously it's quite bright still now and looks a little bit flat. If we darken it, because it was dark on the shooting if you would done this in real, and the cap would obviously have a little bit more darkness spilling around. So what I'm going to do is just also darken this a little bit further, maybe not too much, also playing a little bit with the sliders here. A little bit more down, taking the midpoints again, pushing them up a little bit. Okay, and I'm not watching too much at the skin tones and everything. I'm just looking at the cap and also at the back here. Let's also have a look here before and after, and that kind of works already. So what I'm going to do is take again the mask, press Command I to invert all of that. Then again B for the brush, white foreground color because we're also painting now on a hidden mask. And literally just start with 50% opacity. I can also press here on the keyboard 5, so that's 50% opacity. Control Alt, let's make our brush a little bit bigger. Then we're going to feather it completely, 0 hardness. And I'm going to zoom a little bit closer. Great. Okay, B for the brush again. And literally now 50% opacity. I'm just painting here over the cap. And again once, and also over the sunglasses here. Make my brush a little bit bigger. And again this time I'm not painting with the center of the brush. I'm literally just stroking like this with the outside. Like tap, 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 tap all the way around. Okay, and super big brush as well, guys. It's very important. Okay, I'm going to do this more. Tap, tap, tap. Darken again these areas. Now I'm painting a little bit with the inside because I want to go a little bit deeper. Okay, a little bit over here as well. Okay, let's also have a look here if we're going to switch this before and after. That looks already better. Okay, let's zoom out again. Yeah, and that's so far good as well. Before and after. Just makes it a little bit more real. You can obviously just play a little bit more with the mask. I'm doing this really quickly now, so take a little bit more of your time. Then as well, also the clouds are still spilling here, most probably over his hands. I want to clean this up just a bit more. Let's just select the sky layer here. I want to zoom a little bit. B for the brush, make my brush a bit smaller. 00 on the keyboard, setting our opacity back to 100%. And as well, black foreground color, switch with X. And I'm just painting. Press Command Z, the brush is too big because it's obviously completely feathered. Let's press Control Alt and just feather the brush maybe just to 80%. Okay, something like that. I'm going to make my brush a bit smaller. Okay, Command Z, step back. Yeah, and just brush like this all over the finger. And there's actually not too much, a little bit. Here is a little bit more that we can get rid of. Yeah, and just brushing out the layer from the sky. Great. Okay, let's zoom out again with Z. I'm also going to zoom out a little bit. With Z again, zooming out a little bit, but we still have like this edge over here. So again, B, brush, and also make my brush a bit bigger. I'm still painting with 100% opacity. Let's change that to just 50 again. And we're slowly brushing this out from his mouth. Great. Okay, so just breaking that edge there. And we have a nice sky layer now on top. Okay, a little bit more. Again, Command Z. As you guys can see, the brush is still pretty hard. So what I'm going to do is press Control Alt, feather the brush completely, and softly going over here so that the sky is also degrading a little bit. Okay, zooming out again. And that's again now just the after. So again, before and after, before and after. Great. Now for the next step, what we're still going to do is just create a new empty layer over here. I'm going to drag this empty layer all the way to the top and call this just a white bar. As I mentioned earlier, your horizon always has a little bit of a white bar. As well, I don't know what the hell is going on here. That looks still very weird. Maybe that is because we still have a bit more of our sky layer shining through. So again, select the brush, correct this area over here. Literally just brushing that out. Great. Again, I'm going to take 00, 100% opacity, make my brush a little bit bigger. Just brushing that away. Okay, I'm also getting more sky now. But now let's work on our white bar. So I'm going to press M for marking tool and make kind of a selection over here, like so. That's supposed to be my white bar now. So I'm still in marking tool mode. I'm going to press right click on here and say fill this again with 50%, or actually pure white. White over here, say OK. Command D, get out of that selection. And now I want to blur this completely. So go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Okay, so let's also have a look here. I've already set this beforehand, but normally you obviously start out with 4 whatever, then you go a little bit higher, and I would kind of just check that it's feathering quite to the center point almost. So something like this. Yeah, 120 is also good. 115. So it's really feathered. Okay. And now what we're going to do is take the opacity of this all the way down to just like 10 or 15, 20%. So let's just start with 10%. Okay, a little bit more. Hide this again before and after. And that just helps to bring the whole image a little bit together. 15. Okay, great. And now what I'm going to do is also create a mask on this again. And literally just with the brush again, black foreground color, we can start with 100% opacity. I'm just brushing this away, first of all, just from the person here. Make my brush a little bit bigger and select just like 20% opacity now. And now again, the same as I did earlier, just slowly here from the city, brushing just with the outside, 1 or 2 strokes, because I literally just want to have this white bar somewhere over here, just a little bit spilling exactly on the horizon, not too much at the bottom. Okay, make the brush a little bit bigger again, and just brushing this out a bit here. Great, you can also see on the right hand side what's happening to our mask here. Okay, so a little bit more, it actually suits with the top part. What I'm going to do now is also make my brush a bit smaller, go onto his hands, and we're going to change the opacity up again to say 80%. Yeah, and just erase this again completely from the phone. I want to have more control and more contrast here on his hands actually. So let's zoom in with Z really closely, B for the brush. Just clean up this whole area here. Be a bit more careful when you do this. Great, okay, I'm going to brush out just quickly his phone. A little bit over here, all of that, and the hand. Great, and that we have a little bit more contrast as well, and original colors again back. Okay, with Z zooming out again our before and after, so just that brightened it up a little bit more before and after. Again, spend a bit more time when you do this. Alright, so that's also our white bar. So for the next step, literally the last steps, what I want to do now is just add last pop on this, and also because of all this color and adding contrast, and so we obviously have a bit more saturation here. We didn't copy too much on his skin, so it actually looks okay still. I'm going to go to adjustments first of all, and just first of all add like another curves and levels adjustment layer, and just darken the overall image a little bit. Okay, literally just a little bit. Center point in a little bit, so giving it a nice contrasty pop. And the highlights, let's take those. Yeah, maybe just brighten them a little bit like so. Okay, so again, before and after. Before and after might be a little bit too much contrast, but that's obviously personal taste again. You guys can also play with this. Maybe we can just flatten this a little bit. Okay, so taking literally this anchor point just up a little bit. Up this side over here, not down. Okay, then as well, saturation went up now. I'm going to go back to adjustments here, hue and saturation once again, and the masters, I'm going to take them down to -5. Let's take the slider all the way down, then we slowly bring it back, like -7, 5, that should be good enough. Invert that with Command I, B for the brush, white foreground color, switch with X, opacity 100%, brush it a little bit bigger, and I'm just literally brushing here on his skin. So I don't want to have it too red over here. Brush a little bit smaller. Great. Okay, so again, also before and after, you guys can see a small change there. Again, we have this as a separate adjustment layer, so if you think that saturation -8, the reds in the master tones are a little bit too desaturated, you can also push it up again a little bit. So that's the nice thing working with these adjustment layers. But you guys also, I know you know about this. Okay, so last step, literally, I would just most probably do a final layer. So I might be putting these 3 layers together in a group, Command G, and I'll just write here white bar and pop. And pop. I always rename my layers so I know exactly where what is. Head and sky, and we're going to create a Command Alt Shift E master shortcut, merging all of these layers together to one final layer. Okay, so this is again our before and after. Let's have a look quickly, and this was now super quickly. I've ran through this like mad. Normally I do spend a little bit more time with this and do it a bit more slower. Okay, this is our before and after, before and after. And now I would still sit and add maybe a little bit more color and even a little bit more orange with a separate adjustment layer here just for color, maybe on solid color blending option. Play a little bit with this, yeah, and obviously take this now further. In our pro tutorial, we have also taken this further a little bit with the hands and stuff, so we've added a nice another feature there. Okay, let's also turn this on. This is my first image actually that I created before this tutorial, so the first one and the second version, first one and second version. So it always comes out a little bit different, obviously, so try playing with this as well. Okay, so for the first one I actually took this down a little bit lower, the sky, but both look kind of great. Yeah, so that's basically all for today's Photoshop tutorial, guys. A simple and quick method here of just replacing the sky. If you guys have any questions about this, leave them down below in the comment box. I'm happy to give you guys some feedback about that. Then as well, this is a whole series from our Instagram Pro tutorial coming up in our shop. The website isn't up yet, but you can subscribe to our newsletter in order to stay updated. Then as well, also, if you like this tutorial, hit me up with a thumbs, subscribe to our channel, and share this with all your friends. Yeah guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys all on Wednesday for a new behind the scenes about the Pro tutorial for Instagram. Thanks guys, and see you then. Bye bye.